Other fellow YouTubers. I just can't help myself. I entertain myself all the time. It's a Saturday, October 6th, and it's been a funny sort of day today. We've had rain earlier this morning, and then it cleared up, and it got quite warm and humid, and then a little bit of rain this afternoon. Then it's cleared up, and tonight, now it's a bit after 7, I think. Yeah, 10 past 7. A bit late for me to recording. I usually record early, but I've been doing other things. Well, no, that's not quite true. Well, I have. I've been watching, the Bathurst 1000, the big race here in Australia. V8 Supercar race has been on, and I've been watching some of the races from Bathurst, and then the news, so that's why I fell behind. But no, we did go to Bunnings again. Bunnings. My wife wanted to get some more potting mix, and she wanted to get some more pots. Her and her pots for her dinkum. I said, you've got to start making the garden smaller, not bigger. She wanted more plants. So of course, they go into the 3 pots. Oh, good grief, I don't know. Yes, oh, and I had to buy a electrical connection for a bulb to put in on a lamp. And we went over to see her aunt, who's in the nursing home, on Wednesday. And of course, one lamp was broken, and she brought that back, and I fixed it. Well, we take it back on Wednesday. And then there was another lamp on a big tall thing. And one of the connections was not right, broken, split, whatever. So I bought a new one of those, and I fixed that on too. And it really angered me because I spent a lot more time doing that than I should have. It's one of those jobs, you know. Once you think it's going to take 5 minutes, it's taking you hours. Never mind, that's the way it goes. And of course, daylight saving starts here at 2 o'clock tomorrow morning, Sunday, October 7. I don't like daylight saving. I really don't. You know, in other words, I don't give a fuck about daylight saving. But you've got to have it. Because if you don't turn your clocks forward an hour, especially at our age, you'll forget. It's not compulsory to turn your clocks forward an hour. But if you don't, forget. And you end up running an hour late. Which doesn't really matter for us, because we are retired. But those who are working, who don't put their clocks forward, are going to end up running late for work. Whether they're young or old or in between. Even if they think differently. Oh dear. And I had a comment from Clarence. He comments now and then, and he suggested that I should have a pepper shaker on the table with some crushed flaxseed in it. I don't want to have a pepper container on a table with flaxseed in it. Why not be a black common seed, which is supposed to be a miracle thing, or heaven knows hundreds of other things that are supposed to be great. I assume he's suggesting in a roundabout way that it would help what ails me, but I don't think so. But anyhow, thank you, Clarence, for the suggestion. He also suggested that it was time to do some projects. Well, I have got some projects I want to do. There's one here that I've been planning to do for months. That was the trailer gurney, and I haven't got around to that yet. And today, when we're at Bunnings, my wife saw a lotus bird bath. It was about 3 feet high and square, well, rectangular, and it had a bent piece of metal on top. For a bird bath, it's a lotus bird bath, and it was only $70. And she said, "Oh, I think I'd like one of those." And I thought, "Oh, here goes. You know, why do we need another bird? There's already 4 bird baths in the backyard as it is." But it was nice. She said, "I won't get it." I thought, oh, good. But of course, when we got home, she said, "Yeah, you could make one of those lotus bird baths with that big piece of sheet metal in the driveway." There, that's true. There is a big piece of sheet metal, a humongous piece, and I could easily make a thing out of that. it had sort of bamboo on it cut out of it. I could do that with the plasma cutter. But of course, I don't know. I'll probably get around to doing it. Never mind. And I said this before too. I've got heaps of things planned, but I don't know. I seem to have lost the impetus. You know, the impetus, the motivation to do this thing. But anyhow, I will do some projects and other things as well. Well, I suppose I could do a little bit of a reading. Yeah. Oh, and I must say a big thank you to my friend Glenn from Tucson, Arizona. He was the winner, the highest bidder, for the book that I shot with the 22 short. And as it turned out, he paid me more than he was supposed to. A bit of a kerfuffle, I think, with the exchange rate on PayPal, whatever, but then PayPal is a law unto itself. They have these fees and charges. But anyhow, he paid more, and I let him know that he had paid more, but he said, you may have it with my blessing, he said. Buy your wife a hamburger. Well, I will buy my wife a hamburger. I sent a message back to him, a reply. Me too, and we'll toast him with a chocolate milkshake. So thank you once again, Glenn. Very much appreciate it. I will get the package away on Monday. I'll go to the post office on Monday and post it off for you. Thank you for that. Thank you very much. Well, the last time we left Jeremy, what was it? Jeremy was always pessimistic about things like that. What was he pessimistic about? Oh, hypothermia, because he'd been out in the rain. Always thinking the worst, Jeremy was. But then, and of course, maybe he had every right to on this shit of a morning, unlike any other morning of just another day. That's just a recap. His cardigan felt like it weighed a ton as he made to pull it off, even though he knew the wool fibres had repelled much of the rain. His mother had always been patriotic about that, using nothing but the best Australian wool for all her knitting. And gripping both edges of the cardigan chest high, he pulled the knitted fabric wide and tight, using a soaring action. Then as he contorted his upper body, shrugging his shoulders and cursing and growling, when it refused to budge, I could just imagine. See, this is the sort of a cardigan you undo the buttons on it and you're sopping wet, you're trying to pull it off. Just a demo there. Shrugging his shoulders and cursing and growling when it refused to budge. I repeated myself. As if the extra movements and expletive words and sound effects would achieve what his cutting action was failing to do. Cutting action, soaring action. But all he achieved was to create enough friction to uncomfortably heat the skin at the base of his neck. I bet I've done that, I have. And raise his blood pressure. But of course he wouldn't this prick of a morning of just another day. He thought there and then that maybe he should leave the damn thing on. But he knew he had to enter the kitchen to get the disinfectant and clean the bucket. And if he did that, he'd have to mop the floor. And he didn't want to do that. He had enough to do already. Excuse me. That little bit of a tickle. He also knew he couldn't trudge all over the hallowed carpet of the lounge room dripping water helter-skelter, because it wouldn't dry by the time she arrived home, and he had enough to explain as it was. His heart was beating a rapid tattoo in his throat as he stood his ground, thinking how to rid himself of the garment, deciding after a moment or two that maybe he could free an arm, and with one arm free he'd be home and hosed. He gripped and scrunched the cuff of the left sleeve with his right hand. Is it going dark? Yeah, probably. And with one arm free, he'd be home and hosed. I repeat it again. He gripped and scrunched with his right hand and pulled. He gripped and scrunched the cuff of the left sleeve with his right hand and pulled, stretching the fibres in one direction as he tried to manoeuvre his arm in the opposite. But he quickly realised that with his arm wet it was going to be a bit of a struggle. But of course it would be. Then a light bulb moment. Bing! One of those, why didn't I think of it before? Pulling the now dangling left sleeve back to its original position just behind his wrist, he curled the fingers of his right hand about his left forearm and began to push, concertinaing the fabric as he gradually eased the sleeve toward his elbow and just beyond. And concertinaed up to his elbow. What's that? No. The bunched up material was tight around the area just below his bicep. But he didn't expect that would pose a problem by the time he entered the laundry and wiped his arm with the towel hanging above the laundry tub. If at all. But it did. But of course. With his arm dry and standing in the laundry, he went to unfurl the sleeve, not knowing until the material doubled up and hung like a foreskin that the very edge of the cuff had remained put and was now as tight as a drum. I don't believe this. Jesus H. Christ. I just don't believe this. With his tongue rolled between parted teeth. Good either. Anyhow. Wincing from but otherwise ignoring the pain, he yanked the sleeve toward his shoulder, then yelled, "Bastard!" When the material came to rest, but his hand continued on and hit his jaw, just slipped off. Ooh, that was a bit hard. I didn't mean to hit myself so hard. Holy smoke. I bet that sort of things happen to everyone. You know, you pull something and your hand slipped and it smacks you in the face or whatever. Undeterred, he immediately tried to work his right forefinger under the biting edge of the cuff, pushing and moving the finger side to side in what proved to be an exercise and utter futility that ended with something Jeremy absolutely hated, made his blood run cold, and had him seething with rage. The backward folded fingernail. It wasn't so much the quick sharp pain that he found so abhorrent, although that didn't help, but rather the horrid quaking sensation that coursed throughout his entire body as he gripped the finger like grim death, hissing as he breathed through clenched teeth, grimacing as he peered through narrow slits, and fought the nausea that made a spot on both sides of his face near each earlobe tingle and produced copious amounts of saliva. Do you know the feeling? Do you know what it's like to turn a fingernail? I think I've done pretty well explain that, because that's how I feel. Well, of course, I would, because I'm Jeremy. For what seemed an eternity, he remained crouched with both elbows resting on his knees and maintaining the pressure on his finger, waiting for the wave of nausea to pass before he righted himself and looked at what he didn't want to look at, but knew he would. By the time that period passed, the nail was black, and with the pain, the blood, and the sight of the white crease, Jeremy felt the gorge rising and had to fight to keep it down on what was without a doubt the worst morning of any morning of just another day. Turning on the cold water tap over the laundry tub, he introduced the injured tip of his finger to the flow, winced from the initial spurt of pain, then relaxed as best he could as the cold water worked its magic. As he stood listening to the rain and the ring of water impacting the bottom of the tub and slowly regaining his composure, he wondered what time it was. Time meant very little to Jeremy on most days of just another day. It was something that just was nothing. It was something that just was. It was something that just was. Yes. I couldn't understand my own writing there for a second. It was something that just was, and nothing he could do anything about except make the most of it. Yes, that makes sense. But when he had many things to do and he knew he was lagging behind, it was something he had to be mindful of. Knowing that time had a habit of getting away from him. And before he knew it, it would be 3:30 and his son and daughter would be home from school. And he'd like to have everything over and done with by then. Good on you, Jeremy. I think I'll leave it there because I'm up to over 16 minutes according to the timer up here. Up there. Yeah, alright. I better mark that because if I don't mark it now, I'll put next here, you see. Where is it? Can you see? N-E-X-T and an arrow pointing down. They're just there. Can you? Put it down. Excuse me. There it goes. It's down there, and I've got some tea here, and I'm going to sip it shortly. I don't know about this. I'm into day 2 of the medication, and I did wake up this morning feeling rather nauseous, but not as bad as I had in the past. And mainly right now, I'm a little bit of a pain in the gut region, but I think because I haven't had dinner yet, and it is, well, it's 7:30, and I only had a light lunch. Anyhow, well, I'm going to thank you for watching and listening. I hope you enjoyed the short reading as it was. I hope the description of the bent fingernail. Pardon me. I hate it when that happens. That's why I was able to write about it so clearly, descriptive. That's the descriptive. And listening. And did I say that already? No. And until next time, bye for now. 7:32 according to this one. I must remember to turn the clocks forward an hour. Daylight saving. Bah, humbug.